All right. So first of all, thank you so much for wanting to do this interview. I'm so excited because Scour is one of my most favorite bands. So thank you. How
All right.
are you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you. It's been a while since Psycho Las Vegas 2019.
Yeah, it seems like a whole different world.
Yeah,
What a show that was too. Wow.
I know it was surreal out there. Like, where else can you watch a show literally stand a black metal show too, for that matter, like standing in the middle of a pool?
Right. Vegas, with all those lights, and it was pretty cool. Yeah, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited for the next one. I didn't get to go last year, but
Right.
next one definitely.
Yeah,
So,
another great lineup as usual.
yeah, like their lineups are surreal. They mix so many genres. It's awesome.
Yeah, one year they had like Glass. I think it was that year. It was Glassjaw was playing once, and I'm like, how do they fit with all these black metal bands? They don't. There's a lot of bands that don't fit with genre wise, but that's cool.
Okay.
It's just all really good music. It's got a little bit of every style.
Yeah, definitely. Like I remember Polyrhythmics, they were playing at one of the lounges. It and it was so different. It was all instrumentals, like jazz and everything. So cool. You wouldn't expect that with all the metal artists that were on the lineup.
Flaming Lips are on there, and strange but cool at the same time.
Yeah.
Very unique.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm gonna hit you with some Scour questions first.
Great.
Yeah, so you guys released the Black EP a couple of years ago now, or yeah.
I think it was just a little over a year ago because we were pumping. It seems like forever.
It seems it does.
Yeah, but I think it was just a little over a year ago.
Yeah. What's that?
I said it hasn't been that long. It seems, yeah, it just seems like it.
Yeah, like how do you like this? That EP sounds heavier than the gray or red EP, even though they're all like super heavy. It's like you guys just went for it, like went
Right,
for the kill in it.
That really came, Adam on drums. When we got him, he's just he's in a whole different world. He's got power and speed, and when you know that he could play at a certain level, well, you could pump the songwriting up to that level. You know what I mean? So the first two EPs were actually written with another drummer in mind. So and that was Jesse. He's now in Storm Ruler, but he played on the Gray EP also. Jesse did. But by the time Adam came in, the Red EP was already written. So once we had Adam in the band and knew going forward we had him, that's when you could bump the beats per minute up, make it a little faster, make it a little heavier. And I think that's what happened. And I agree with you. It is, of the three, it's the heaviest one.
Yeah. How do you feel like as the bassist that you connect to, the other parts of the music, is like even the lyrics too, even though you didn't write the lyrics?
Right. Well, the cool thing about the lyrics is I get to sing on every song. So Derek and I do backups. So once Phil writes it and sends it over, he says sometimes he'll leave spots for us, but we got to find them. You know what I mean? And usually we'll both listen to these songs over and over, and then I'll write down my ideas of what I think we should sing, and then Derek will write down his ideas, what he thinks we should sing. And sometimes he'll say, this part's your part, this part's Mark's part, or whatever, this part's his part. But a lot of the times when we come together and we're saying, all right, we share the notes, a lot of them will match up. And when they match up, that's when it's like, all right, we're singing these parts. So, and then playing bass, Derek's a bass player also, obviously, in the Illegals and a bunch of other bands. So when he's writing, he writes a lot of cool bass parts for me to play. But he's also at the same time, he's like, you feel like throwing some tasty stuff in there, just do it, So, but I like to keep it nice and simple on the bass for Scour because I'm singing every song. It's you don't want to be like, you got to kind of split your brain, when you're doing that. You're playing all this stuff and then you got to sing over it. I like to make it as easy as possible for myself. So I don't go too crazy on the bass for Scour. I try to just keep the song flowing, you know.
Yeah. What songs do you like relate with and connect to most on the Black EP?
Well, I mean, the first one, Doom, it was cool just because of the whole how it all came through with, you know, Jason Momoa being on the track and having Eric Rutan on lead guitar. And, you know, it's just that one. And then also the other guest appearance we had, Pat O'Brien, was a big one for us. And, you know, it's just having these ripping solos that only these guys, I mean, these guys are just shredders, you know what I mean? So it's cool to have that kind of musicianship on your songs, you know, and that just, it bumps it all up too. So, but yeah, it's, they're all great. I love them all. They all got their own little special place, you know?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we just played this. The last thing we did together was the stream where we played every song, you know, and it was kind of like, I love them all. So it's hard to pick.
Yeah, that stream, the Live at the Lair, was awesome. Like it felt like you were there in the room. It was such a cool vibe with it.
Yeah, it was a nice tight fit in there for sure. And they did a great job filming it and getting cool angles, and it was a blast, of course. And yeah, it was great to just play every song, you know.
Yeah.
Like, here's every song we got. So that's all we got.
Especially when there were no concerts going on.
Yeah, it was right at a time. It was in January. Maybe that's what we were pumping up a year ago, was the stream. So the EP must have came out a little more than a year ago. And then it was the live stream. We were and obviously that's when you would want to do concerts, is right after you release a record.
Right.
And like you said, we just couldn't, you know.
Yeah. Like, how much of a release was it for you to be able to do the Live at the Lair show, like with everything going on?
Oh, it was so great all around. It was just really because we got together in St. Louis, everyone besides Phil, to kind of rehearse before we went down there. And on the way there, I was driving, but we're about maybe 20 minutes into the trip, and the wheel of my van just flew off the van. And we're just like, oh shit. We see the wheel fly by. I'm like, hold on, everybody, you know, and I pull into, luckily there's this nice place on the side and no one got hurt. But right off the bat, we're like, oh, this is bad, you know. And it stemmed from someone switched. I had a tire changed, and the guy that changed it, he didn't really tighten the everything well enough, I guess. It just flew right off. So
oh my God.
Had to get that fixed, of course. But it was just kind of like, it started off as such a like, oh man, this is going to be a tough one. But we had to like get picked up, go back, get another form of transportation, get a trailer, load all the gear. So in that time, a couple of the Scour boys started having some drinks, you know, and try to make the best of it. And that's kind of like what we try to do, is like whatever situation we're in, we just try to have the best of it. So it was such a great time just traveling there with the boys, and then finally getting there and getting in the room and jamming is just, it's the best. So we take it seriously, but at the same time there's a lot of goofing around, and
yeah.
It's the Scour boys.
Are there any plans to do a live show soon with Scour?
No, not at all. I mean, we've got a bunch of great offers, especially overseas, and we just have to say no for a lot of reasons. And there's some shows we'd love to do. It's just, it all comes down to, what's Phil doing? What are the rest of the guys doing? And we try to fit in like, hey, maybe Scour should do this and this and this. And we don't try to be too pushy with it. If I don't get upset if we don't play for a while, and we haven't played for a while, but it's nice that there's still offers coming in. There's still people interested. And there's the bands, basically when the time comes, and it should be within the next couple of years, we'll hopefully finish up what we're working on a record now. So like I mentioned
Ooh.
earlier, you put the record or EP out, you want to play shows around it to promote it, of course. And so we're still slowly writing our first full length.
Oh my God, that's so exciting.
And so, yeah, not to hype that up or anything, but it's something we've been doing for the last couple of years, really. And it's just taken a little longer for a million reasons than normal, but we're over halfway with the music, and it's sounding, like the natural progression of, what we've been doing, and keep going in the same direction, getting faster, getting heavier. But you also got to keep it catchy and, short and sweet. So yeah, the new Scour sounding great. And yeah, you don't want to start hyping that type of stuff up too early, because you don't want to rush anything either. Because when Phil's ready to do something, he'll do it. Kind of, we're not going to say, Phil, we need this by next Friday. That doesn't work. So when Phil's in the mood for Scour, he can work on Scour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's no one's pressuring anyone to do anything. It all kind of just flows naturally. And when all the music's done and all the lyrics are written and everything's recorded, then we start the hype train. So it's too early for that now. But yeah, we're still working on it. That's what bands do when they're
right.
They work on the next project.
With the songs that you do have recorded now, are there any special guests or anything so far?
We have ideas, and Derek and I always toss around like crazy ideas, like what if, and I got some great ideas, but until the songs are done, and it's really until Phil records those vocals, that's when it's like, okay, if we're going to need a spot here, who should do it? Sometimes it's like Derek's got a different register voice than I do, and Mark's got a much lower than both of us. And so sometimes he'll say this part's perfect for me, or this part's perfect for, maybe we should get a guest. But we got guys in mind, and we got people that said they would do it. But sometimes, the people that say they do it are busy when you need them, So in a year or so from now, when we're actually finishing it all up, we'll see who's available. And I'm sure there'll be some special guests. There always, seems to be.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear the end result. Like, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So what are some of your most favorite bass lines that you have written, like in all of Scour, like all 3 of the EPs?
Well, there's a couple little tasty parts on the Black EP that I like. What is it? Tear Gas, of course. Let the War Be Waged. There's nothing really too technical or crazy going on, but it's just a fun, like I said, I'd like keep it simple. So it's nothing really like, it doesn't come like this is my hardest one to play, but that's just fun, because when we play together, we can kind of look around, and it's because it's so easy. I don't have to be focusing on every note. I can kind of look around the crowd, and I can look around at the boys on stage. And so the main chorus riff, Tear Gas, is always fun, because I just kept it really slow on the bass, just for that reason, just so I could have the little look around.
Nice.
You got to plan this stuff out, because you don't want to write a bass line and then be like, oh shit, I got to sing something. What am I going to do? Right.
And you will also have like 20 billion other bands, like from Agoraphobic Nosebleed to like even your newer one, Nest, which kind of has like a black metal melodic punk sound. So how did you form Nest?
Well, it started right about 2 years ago. A friend of mine, he was a friend that when we were in middle school, he was the first guy that we played guitar together. We're like, hey, let's start a band. We're 7th grade. And during lunch, we would go to his house, which he lived right by the school. We'd skip school during lunch hour, go to his house, make a ham sandwich, and play guitar, and then go back to school, and no one would notice. So me and this guy were jamming together for years and years, and we were playing a Deftones cover set just for fun. And we were talking about, maybe we should start writing some songs just for fun. And he said, like, I got a couple songs. And I said, well, I'll just be the singer. So this was going to be a band where I just wanted to be the front man. And that was the original idea. So with his songs he wrote, I wrote some stuff. We got a drummer. And then the big pandemic hits, and he's like, I don't got time for this. There's flu going around. No one's coming into work. It's just, I just can't do this anymore. But at the time, he was like, maybe you should write some songs. And I was like, all right. So I just wrote 10 songs real fast. And then I was out on a date with my girlfriend complaining about, what am I going to do? I just wrote all these songs. And now and she was like, well, we just bought a bass for her like a couple of weeks before, because she had practiced and learned some lessons, and she just wanted to continue learning. And I was like, well, why don't I just teach you these songs and you could be in the band, And then we found another drummer, and from there we just took those 10 songs, wrote 10 more, and then I wrote 10 more, and now just actually today I was recording some vocals for it. And so we're doing a split with some band from Uruguay. So we're not ready to announce the whole thing on that either, but we're just like a 3-song split we're doing with this other band. And so hopefully in a few months we'll be promoting that and putting that out, because we're going to be going on tour also in a few months. So
awesome. Gotta come out to Fargo.
Yeah, I was thinking about going out that way maybe in July or something, but that's a long trip there.
Yeah, people don't realize it, but Fargo has some crazy metalheads, and their shows are like, even if it's a small crowd, like everyone is just so into it. And the bigger crowds too. Like, people don't think of North Dakota like that.
Right. Yeah, because you don't get it as often as a New York or or LA. You just get a couple metal shows a year if you're lucky type situation.
Right.
Probably. Which sucks, but yeah, it's just because it's so expensive to go out there. And going out, when you go out that way from where I'm at, you kind of want to hit Denver, and you got to say, do I want to go up north? Do you really want to go up to Salt Lake City or North Dakota or or Seattle? And because once you do that, you got another week of, it's a lot of drives, a lot of 8-9 drives to get to the next show. And doing that every day sucks. Yeah. I like the 6-hour drives, the 5 4-hour drives.
Yeah. And you were also in Pig Destroyer and like so many other bands. So what all is going on with all of your other bands, like Fulgora as well?
Yeah, Fulgora has a song that we didn't release, and Housecore's talked about putting it out. I don't know if that'll ever happen, because I think something's happened with the master of it. Like, I got a version of it, I don't know if it's ready for release, but I mean, there was some we working on new songs also there with Fulgora. But that's just another thing of, we're so spread out. Like, our drummer's on the other side of the country, so it's, that band is kind of just like, if some festival offer came up, we would probably get back together and do some stuff, but it's kind of just been dormant, I guess is the word. But technically we're still a band, and we got some unreleased stuff. I think we did a helmet cover too that's unreleased.
Oh, nice.
But I hope someday we can, because I love that band, so I hope that we can get that back together someday. And let's see, Agoraphobic hasn't been really much news. There was, last I heard, Scott was working on a new record. So we'll see when that happens. And I haven't been in Pig Destroyer for a while, so I didn't know if you knew that. So.
Yeah, I was just wondering if anything was gonna happen, but
Yeah, I'm basically right now just working with Derek on the new Scour, working on the new Nest, focusing on this tour, and that's basically the music update from my end,
yeah, being in so many different metal bands, like super heavy ones. Like what was it that initially drew you to metal? So the brutality of it.
MTV really helped when I was a kid because all I watched was MTV. I wasn't into cartoons or GI Joes or any of that stuff. Luckily I had cable and MTV, and they started playing stuff like Def Leppard. I loved it. That was like Photograph, the early stuff, and it was great. And then Ozzy was a big, when he did the Bark at the Moon record and that came out, that's when it really hit me. I was like, this is just awesome. Like, I love everything about it because it was kind of scary. The video scared the shit out of me as a kid, but at the same time, I'm like, the guitar is just amazing, and luckily my parents played good music in my house all the time, so I grew up listening to like the Beatles and good stuff. And I really think MTV was a big deal for me. And then once I was like 9 was when Metallica and Justice for All came out, and they had the one video, and that was just like, I watched that video and I was like, all right, that's it. I'm getting a guitar. I have to be in a band. I was like, I've never seen anything like it. And my older cousin, Nathan, said, well, you got to hear Master of Puppets. And he gave me the cassette. And then I listened to that. Holy shit. And well, you got to hear Ride the Lightning. And like, there's even more. And then it opened up this whole world, next thing you're listening to Megadeth and you're listening to Slayer, Pantera, comes out at that time, a couple of years later. I'm just like, it's just all perfect storm, I guess. And yeah, it all really started with MTV, and it's just a shame that there's really no platform like that anymore. I guess there is somewhere, kids can go watch whatever they want at any time, obviously, these days. Back then it was just, I turned on MTV and hoped that they'd play Def Leppard,
Yeah.
At that time, I'm getting turned on to so many other types of music, Duran Duran and stuff like that. I still love. So just from early MTV.
Yeah. VH1 was pretty good too when they would play videos in the early morning hours. Like they would play a lot of I remember the 100 greatest songs of rock and roll, and they also did one on metal too, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, and then when they finally did like the VH1 Classic for a while, that was really great. But yeah, that was like 2000 or something, I guess, and they had the MTV2 and Extreme. Was it Extreme MTV X? Do you remember that?
I don't, but I remember MTV2 because Headbangers Ball was on there.
Right. MTVX was like
the new metal. Headbangers Ball anyway.
Right. Well, the old Headbangers Ball was a big deal too.
Yeah.
Like my friends and I would get together and like throw a party and watch Headbangers Ball. That's what turned us on to bands like Prong, Biohazard. Of course, Pantera videos were on there a lot. But so it was, MTV was so awesome back then. And we were lucky to have it.
Yeah, I wish they would bring it back like that, because now it's not even music anymore.
Yeah, it's been a reality TV channel for 20 years now.
Yeah. Crazy how the world changes. My hope is that the world goes back into an obsession with music.
Well, I mean,
kind of is though.
I think people maybe appreciate live shows maybe more now than they did. I know that I've went to more concerts and I've spent more money on concert tickets in the last 2 years than I have probably my whole life. Just because I'm like, I got to go now. Because the time when we couldn't go,
right?
Realize it's like, wait a minute.
What if that happens again? We gotta embrace it while we can.
Right, and you got to support it so it stays alive. Yes. And I mean, I've seen bands that have shamed other bands for doing shows during the pandemic, and then they go and play shows. They're hypocrites, a lot of them. But there's people that have to make money. These venues have to stay open, or they're not going to be there next year.
Right,
and they're closed. How do you think they stay open? They have to have shows. They have to have people there drinking, or it just doesn't work. And we got to be out shows, or then you see it. Next thing you know, we're getting real jobs. Like we have to do, because you got to. And this is, I think that it's time to just adapt and deal with it. And if that means more outdoor shows, so be it. Whatever it takes.
Yeah. Outdoor shows are awesome. Like especially when the sun is setting, like those atmospheres are amazing.
Yeah, I love the outdoor festivals. I love the camping out festivals. And I mean, I'd even go through a drive-through show if I had to, whatever it takes. That's not ideal, but it's better than nothing at all.
Yeah.
But I think the bands that are just packing it up and saying we ain't doing shit until it's back to normal. I'm sorry, I didn't get back to normal. I got some news for you. It's going to be years and years before you even start thinking about back to normal, because so it's time to just deal with it. And so that's why I'm just I take my own precautions. I try to stay healthy and safe, whatever. But the show must go on here, or it's all going to end. And there's venues, I've seen them closing all over the country, and it's a shame.
Yeah. Like, speaking about live shows and not having them for practically 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years, what was that feeling that you felt the moment that you stepped inside a venue to watch a concert again?
Well, I got to think about the first one. The first one I went to was outdoor, but the first indoor one, I want to say, I think it was Gojira, but it was this new venue, and it was just wide open spaces. And I'd already been through the sickness and all this, so I was not worried about getting sick. I'm not, so it was just great all around for a lot of reasons, because it was a new venue, and it was what's it called, the Factory in St. Louis, and it's about 3,000 capacity. Obviously Gojira's playing there. It's got to be a pretty nice place,
Right.
So yeah, it was really cool. But it was just great to see. I saw a bunch of old friends I haven't seen in 20 years, but that's always fun. But I've done we've played a lot of outdoor shows, and that seems to be the smart thing to do. But you can get sick anywhere, so right. You just got to be careful and hope for the best. But yeah, it's great, because like I said, you kind of take it for granted. And sometimes a band would come through and say, I'll just see them next time. Well, the last year or so, a year and a half, 2 years, I've been going to I'm going to the show, you know what I mean? And even if I've seen the band a bunch of times, if it's a metal show in town, I'm trying my best to, if I can be there, I'm going to go. So, and I bought a bunch of even out of town shows. I try not to, because I always get burnt. I'll buy a ticket to a show that's in 6 months, and then we'll have a concert, and I'll have to sell the concert. You know what I mean? And I've done so many times where I've said, all right, I got to just stop buying concert tickets in advance, because it's killing me. But this year I've done it a bunch, and I got a bunch of plans coming up too. So I definitely, and it's same with everything else I used to enjoy, like going to baseball games or sporting events, and it's I missed it. I missed it a lot. So now that I get to go back,
How do you feel it affected your mental health being able to go back to concerts again?
Oh, I mean, obviously it helped it and boosted it, it's it's something when you love something that much and someone takes it, it gets not someone takes it away, or it's just taken away from you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's devastating. I had plans to go see some of my favorite bands and they're all canceled. And it's just like, what the, it's terrible. And, luckily we're talking about it. So we've made it through, and anyone listening to this has made it through it. So, but a lot of people didn't, so friends, I'm sure, people too, but it's just a shame. And the fact it tried to come back and now everyone's canceling again, and it's just, I just don't understand. I just think the show has to go on, safe as possible though. You can't be stupid about it.
Right.
If you're sick, I got an idea. If you're sick, do you just stay at home for,
right. That's something I have been noticing, is that more people like working in a bar, you don't see as many sick people coming in anymore as they used to. Like people would, like the diehard drinkers would go in no matter what every day, even if they were practically sick, or like dying from pneumonia or something. But now you don't see too much of that. So that's a positive that's happened. People are more aware of that.
Yeah, that's for sure. So yeah, and I understand, I had tickets to see David Lee Roth in Vegas.
Oh,
on
wow.
the 7th, and they canceled the whole tour. First they canceled up to that date, and I'm thinking they're gonna cancel this whole, you know what I mean? So I sold my tickets right then. I'm like, luckily I got out, sold the tickets, and then he ended up canceling the whole thing. And I'm just thinking, I'm glad I didn't get plane tickets, I'm glad I didn't order hotel rooms, So there's so much money getting, people don't think about, that when you cancel, it's a big deal. So if you announce a show and if you have to cancel because someone's sick, that's understandable. There's a million reasons you can cancel. You got something serious in your family happening. No big deal. But I don't know. It's, for me, if you're saying you're going to do something, do it. If you're going to say you're confirmed to a show, do it.
Yeah.
Unless your hands are falling off.
I mean, it's much of a release for the fans as it is, the artist on stage to do shows. And like, it's just, it clears your mind of all the bullshit and everything that's going on. Like,
and then a good form of entertainment will do that, whether it's watching a movie or just kind of get out of the real world for a minute.
Get away from the news, which just tries to suffocate everyone with all their whatever.
Yeah. If you want to get scared, that's what you do. You turn on the news. They'll show you some scary stuff. But
I say just turn up music.
Right. Yeah. That's my favorite release. I even in the mornings, I'm like, I need to have some mellow music to trying to get me going. And on the way to work, I got to put on there's a local radio station here called Casey that they'll play Slayer during the day every once in a while. You know what I mean? On the radio. Like you'll hear Master of Puppets in the early morning. Like it was 8 a.m. the other day. I was driving and they're playing Master of Puppets on the radio. I'm like, this is great. Not every city has a radio station like that.
No.
I'll pop that on, and a lot of times you'll hear the same, Tom Petty song 100 times, or they play a lot of Rolling Stones and it's classic rock station.
Yeah.
But it makes me feel old when they're saying, Nirvana is now considered classic. They're serious.
Pantera. Like,
right.
I've heard Cowboys from Hell played on the radio station out here. I'm going on the classic rock. I'm going, this is strange. This is awesome though.
Right. It's so cool when you hear that, like they played Cowboys from Hell on NFL the playoff, because the Cowboys were playing in the playoffs, and you hear in the background the riff, and it's like, I know that song, you know.
Yeah. I know you've seen Pantera quite a few times. So what was one of your most favorite memories from being in a Pantera crowd?
Oh, jeez. The first mosh pit I was ever bar, because they were opening for Pantera, and that we were just pumped. We're like, this is it. Because you see the videos, you're like, of the mosh pits.
Yeah.
But in St. Louis, this was my first, like, this is gonna be the first real one, and this sold out show, and like some big dudes, and just the anticipation for that show. And that was during the Fulgora era. But the best one, and I've told Phil the story, I was during Far Beyond Driven. They came and played this big outdoor arena, Riverport, and I was by myself, front row, or 10th row center. So my friends couldn't come with me because they had football practice. So my mom just dropped me off at the show with $50. I went up, I found a ticket scalper. I was like, I need the best ticket you got for $50. And he gave me this 10th row center. So during one song, Phil's like, points me out. He's like, I was like, is he looking at me? And he's like, listen, kid, look around you. This is your family now. And I was just, and everyone's kind of looking at me like, holy shit, he's talking about you. And everyone's like, starts handing me like beers, and like I'm smoking joints. Next thing you know, I'm having the time of my life. And I'm just like, I can't believe he just like pointed me out and like was talking to me. So like, I ended up getting like drunk. I'm only like 16 or 17 at the time. So when my mom picks me up, she was with her little sister, and the little sister, my aunt, she looks at me and she goes, we should have went with you. Because I looked like I was having a good time, you know what I mean? I was fucked up. But that was my best experience. Is like, I can't believe like and I told Phil the story. He's like, yep, that sounds like me. Like he said he would point out the kids in the crowd, and like if there was a kid rocking out, he would point them out and say something to him. So he did that to me once. And little did I know, or he know, that I'd be in a band with him someday, you know.
Life is crazy how things work out.
Right, yeah. And seeing that, they played so many killer shows back then. Like,
I'm sure.
Like, I only missed one time, and that's like I was mentioning earlier. I wish I kicked myself every time, but it was the last time they came through. I was like, I'll just see them next time. You know, I took it for granted because I've seen them like 8 times at that point, and that was it. So I fucked up. So.
But you got to see Dimebag play with Pantera 8 times though. That's
yeah. And that's the thing. Sometimes he's drunker than normal, other times. But the more drunk he was, it seemed like the better it was. Like he would like extend the solos out at the end of the songs and shit, and he'd just keep going. He was, at the time, I remember just being like, this might be the greatest guitar player I've ever seen. Like, just incredible, just shredding. So yeah, he was one of a kind, obviously.
Yeah. Did you ever meet him?
No. He came through a crowd. I was with some friends at a 9 Inch Nails show. It was on Valentine's Day, probably 94, 95. And my friend comes up, he's like, look at my ticket. And the back of it had said Dimebag. And it was the autograph. And I'm like, I don't understand. What do you mean? He's like, Dimebag just gave me a beer, a Coors Light, and he's walking through the crowd with a 6-pack of Coors Light. So like, my friend got to meet him at a 9 Inch Nails show in St. Louis. And I was just kind of like, why is he here? I don't understand. And apparently he used to like just to travel with them and tour and party with them.
That is so cool. Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a visual, Dimebag handing out beers in the crowd.
Yeah, he just kind of like, he said he just kind of popped out from behind the stage and was like walking through the floor and had a 6-pack of beer. Like nowadays, the security guard would be like, wait a minute, you can't bring a 6-pack of beer, blah, blah, blah. But he's Dimebag though, so maybe they just let him go. But yeah, my friend still got that ticket.
That is awesome. Wait, going back to the mental health, because it's an issue in the country and in the world. Like, people need to be more understanding about it. And like, I always try to raise awareness through my interviews with it, because like, people need to be more kind. And another thing is that music really helps your state of mind, whether it be listening to it or, creating it, performing it. So what are some moments where music has helped you through like a tough time? Not necessarily the last couple of years, but like throughout your life, that you can really say really, made a difference with your state of mind.
Oh, I mean, countless times, really. I mean, there's sometimes I won't hear a song for like 10 years and it'll bring me back to like what I was doing at that moment. You know what I mean? And like just recently there was I heard like a song from Yezu. Remember, do you know who that is? Is the guy from Godflesh. And I was listening to that a lot in the early 2000s. And it kind of just like when I heard the song, I was like, wow. Like, and you think about, what you were doing or what I thought about what I was doing about at that time, and, sometimes it's happy memories. Sometimes songs give me, bring me back to times I don't want to think about, but, it's, I'm no expert on the subject or anything, but for me, I try to keep a positive outlook, and instead of, it's easy to wake up and say everything sucks, and because it does, but it's just not a way I like to live. So, but when I hear a certain Beatles song or a certain even heavy stuff like Metallica, like I'll think back to being, a sixth grader playing Nintendo, listening to Ride the Lightning and playing Blades of Steel, and like that being like the ultimate, like I couldn't wait to get off school so I can put on my headphones and play Nintendo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like life was so easy. I had no cares in the world. But that's what, like, when I listen to Ride the Lightning, that's what I think about. I think about being a kid, and like it brings you back to happy times, But yeah, it's like I mentioned earlier, like in the morning I have to listen to some mellow music just so, because I like to wake up slow.
Yeah.
I don't like waking up and be like, we gotta be somewhere in 15 minutes. We gotta rush and rushing. I'll wake up, and that's another thing I've learned on being on the road. Like I'll wake up before everybody, take my shower first, get ready, and then just sit back and watch everyone just rush and go, like I'm ready to go. And that's just how I like to do things.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it, without it, I wonder what I would do without music. I don't think I would even want to be alive, to be honest. There's really, without music, what is there to me is really not much more to living. I enjoy playing sports and having fun and doing it, but music's involved in all of that. It's like I was mentioning, like you're watching football, there's music getting pumped to pump you up, pump players up. And when you're watching a good film, a good scene has the right soundtrack or the right sounds in the background.
Yeah.
So it even, and I had this conversation with someone that's like, he said, I enjoy music. I just don't like it. And I kind of wanted to, like, kind of blew my mind. Like, what do you mean you don't like it and you don't listen to it? So I don't listen to music. And I'm like, dude, you listen to music every day. You just don't realize. Do you watch TV? And he's like, well, yeah. And I'm like, well, don't you know, like when you're watching your TV show, there's music in the background? Like I guarantee you there is, every show you've watched, but it kind of blows my mind that obviously everyone's got their own tastes and their own opinions. But to me, music's the most important thing in the world. Yeah. So when, like I mentioned earlier, when you take it away, it's kind of like, oh shit.
Yeah. It's that one thing that is there when, like, if you feel like nobody else is, or that nobody could possibly, understand, because like when you're in a certain state of mind, even if you're inebriated on alcohol or prescriptions or whatever it may be, like just to know that somebody else has gone through that or is going through that and wrote about it, like it helps so much. It helps so many people too.
Oh yeah. And having, been through all, I drank for years, and I've partied for years, and it's a blast, you know. But when you get a little to my age, I mean, I'm 42, you know, I can't drink every day. And that's why I quit years ago. The hangovers just became too much.
Yeah.
But there's certain, you know, songs that just kind of make you want to go get drunk, or, you know, like it was kind of just part of the whole thing. Even like having band practice when I was 15 or 14, 16, we were getting drunk at practice, you know, just because it was part of the, you know, and doing whatever we get our hands on, of course, too. But like you said, like some of the wise men that came before us writing all these great songs were trying to pretty much warn us about the drug use. Like, hey, like you got to kind of, and I thought about this recently, you know, Prince, he died from drug overdose, fentanyl, something he took. But if you listen to all the songs, he's kind of like preaching against doing like, you know, a lot of songs, even on Purple Rain, were about the drug dealers in LA, you know, and you shouldn't get caught up in it, you know, and then he ends up caught up in it, you know, and it's a shame.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's obviously everything in moderation is my advice, but I'm just too old for hard drugs or drinking anymore. I just smoke weed every day is my thing. So.
Weed is awesome. Now that is another thing that helps with mental health. And it helps coming out of addiction and, you know, alcoholism too. And not a lot of people realize that. Some people think that because you get an altered state of consciousness, I guess you could say, like they think it's a drug, and it's more of an enlightening, like open your eyes sort of thing. It makes you very aware of yourself and of life in general. And it shows you, oh, this is, if I keep drinking, this is what my life's going to be like. Like it kind of, if you get a lot of, like if you take an edible or something, or a couple of edibles, or smoke like a lot of weed, and you get into that, I don't know what I'm trying to say, like in a meditational trance with it kind of like shows you your fears, and it's up to you to overcome those. You know what I mean? Like that's my take on weed.
Yeah. Different for everybody, you know. And like, for example, my girlfriend, I've been trying to get her to smoke weed, and she tried again the other night. We picked one, like this should be the strain that exactly what you want. You don't want to be put to sleep, you want to be more active, and so here's the perfect strain. And she took one hit and was like, nope, she just doesn't like it, doesn't get it, and that's fine, you know. But for me, it's, if I don't have it, that's when the problems begin. You know what I mean? I'm more afraid of not having weed for 2 days than like anything else in the world. Maybe like it snowed the other day, and I was like, I don't care how many inches it snowed. If that dispensary's open, I'm going for my weed. You know what I mean? If it's 12 inches or 12 foot, I'm going to do it. You know, I need to go get it.
Yeah.
And it's best for everyone. Trust me. I sometimes need some weed to just chill me out.
I remember when we were talking at the Las Vegas airport that like coming out of Psycho, like you were telling me like that's your medicine. Like it really is a medicine, because it helps like with anxiety, PTSD, depression, everything. It really does. It helps uplift you.
Yeah, and I think in that situation, going to the dispensary on the way to the airport, and it's like you can only smuggle like the cartridges. But I had to like smoke a bunch of weed because I have to go to the airport, you know. So but yeah, some of that super potent stuff, like they got some good shit down there, you know, in Vegas and California,
Colorado, especially.
Yeah. The dispensaries here, like you can pay premium prices to get some like 30% stuff, but like I just bought an ounce for like $170 legally, you know, and it was 25%, and that's good enough. That's some good shit.
Yeah.
You know? Back in the 90s, we weren't smoking 25% shit, you know.
Yeah, there's some crazy strains out there now, that's for sure.
Yeah. And so I'm glad that there's still a stigma, like you said, people look at that, but they shouldn't, you know, just because, like you said, it's a medicine. I got a card from a doctor, and I go to the store and buy it, just like people go to the store and buy their beer, you know.
Yeah, it's a lot safer than alcohol too.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. There's, you know, horrible deaths every year from alcohol drinking and driving, and just liver failure.
A lot of domestic violence, a lot of fights.
Yeah, it made me a mean, angry person. I know that, you know, I drink whiskey and I just start, you know, get that mood. Like, I'm ready to fight. I don't give a fuck who it is. You know what I mean? And that's what whiskey usually did to me. So I think it's best for me, and it's best for everyone else too, that I just smoke weed and take it nice and easy, you know?
Yes. Weed needs to be legalized nationwide or worldwide. Like, it's absurd to me that there are places in the world that you can literally get like put away in life in prison, or even worse, like in certain countries, like that you're not ever going to come back from.
There's, I think, some places over there in Asia that you don't want to get caught with weed. Yeah. And that's why I ain't ever going there.
There are some places that I've read about over there where you can get beaten down for just meditating outside and like held captive. That's insane.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know, we haven't made right here where we live, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, we have a very safe country, and like our military, our veterans have done such an amazing job and are doing it, because we, like, the United States, even though we're in kind of a turmoil in the world is essentially, but we have, like, we've been safe. We can walk outside safely for the most part.
Yeah. And that's great. It's I mean, I hear gunshots every day where I live. I don't live in a nice part of town because I can't afford to, you know. And it was the same thing in Baltimore, though. I hear gunshots every day. So there's still major problems everywhere going on. Yeah. But I don't.
But there's no bombs going on.
Yeah, right. I don't think that those, you know, that they're out there shooting each other, whatever. I ain't involved in it, so I'm not worried about it. I don't know. Shoot me. I'm not afraid of, you know, I don't feel like I need to have a gun where I live, but I feel safe enough to, you know, go to the park and have play some basketball and throw the football around, you know, and I don't have to worry about what my beliefs, my religious beliefs, or, you know, whatever, who I vote for. In the real world, no one really cares, you know?
Right.
So at least, you know, I work at a bar and I talk to all kinds every day, and, you know, the really no one cares at the end, you know. And some people get online every day and they're like, blah, 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 here's my opinion. Like, do you really think anyone cares? No one cares.
Yeah, there's a lot of, gosh, people get crazy on there attacking everyone. It's just like, calm down.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I just want to give them a joint to calm down.
It really, it would help if everyone would just chill out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like to, you know, all those opinions on, you know, just keep them to yourself. Who cares? Like, I don't understand the urge to get online and say, this is who I voted for, this is what I think, and this is what the way the world, we should all think the same way, this way. It's just like, that would really suck, you know.
Yeah.
I like allowed to have their own, here in the United States, their own opinions, and, you know, you try to talk things out. It doesn't have to, like you said, you're not gonna, if you want to go meditate, be my guest.
Yeah.
Whatever you want, whatever makes you feel good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm happy to be in the United States, because like even there are other places right now. It just seems so crazy. People, like my friends in other countries have told me that people have gotten like severely beaten for just walking outside their door, like during a lockdown.
All right.
It's like, why? Or
Yeah.
whatever. Just
Yeah.
listen to more music, listen to more metal. Fuck, listen to rap. I mean, rap has some really good lyrics too. Like it just all of it helps.
Yeah. Yeah. There's great.
Smoke weed.
Yeah. There's really good rappers out there, and they're doing the Superbowl halftime this year. There's a bunch of, we've seen, it's like Snoop and Dr. Dre and Eminem, and it's going to be great. It's just, who doesn't like Snoop Dogg?
Right. He was live on Instagram earlier playing basketball, which was so cool.
Snoop's great, great music. You can't deny it. No
Yeah.
matter what, good always great. No matter what, there's even
Dr.
good country.
Dre also. Wait, Dr.
Right.
Dre, he has some real lyrics. Your perspective on life, but listening to his music, just you're very enlightened, and Eminem as well. Like
Right. Yeah. That'd be a good show. And it's
Mary
about
J. Blige
time that they
is
got
also
some
there.
line. Who's that?
Mary J. Blige. She's also
Right.
performing.
Yeah. Yeah, she was awesome too. Was it in this dancery? What's her song? That Let's Get Up Crunk or something. She's great too. So yeah, but it's
Kendrick Lamar, he'll be there too. Trying to think. I'm thinking of the poster that I see. And yeah.
Kendrick's
That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, he's one of the best rappers out right now. Him. I like him. I like Freddie Gibbs. So there's a lot of good rap right now, like you just mentioned.
There's an artist. His name is Grip. He's actually on Eminem's record label, Shady Records, and like his lyrics, he has a song called These Eyes, and it's so real. And like thankfully rap is going in a direction where it's more real and raw, instead of like the cookie cutter pop industry superficial stuff.
Right. The underground dirty rap, and like that's kind of like when I first, like I've mentioned MTV before, that's where I heard Run DMC and LL Cool J, in the early 80s. And then, as kids, we would trade around the 2 Live Crew tape, and that was like your parents, you can't get caught with the 2 Live Crew tape. Like you can't get caught listening to it. You can't get caught having it, like, so it was like a secret, like, have you heard the 2 Live Crew? You're like, and, I remember when my mom first heard me listening to it, she said, what are you listening to? Like, what the fuck are you, like, took the cassette away, threw it away, you know what I mean? Because it's pretty dirty. No 8-year-old kid should be listening to that. Let me get that straight. But I was listening to 2 Live Crew, you know what I mean?
But it made an impact on you.
Yeah, but that wasn't pumped through the radio stations though. That was, I guess MTV kind of pumped it up a little bit, and they played the videos, on there. But that was more of a tape trading underground, like we were like kids passing it around like it was like an old Playboy or something, you know what I mean? Like you were not supposed to have, but we had to have it. So yeah, rap always had that cool. And even in the 90s, like when grunge was big, like the Far Side, like Onyx, there was always this, like there was the rap that was on the radio, and then there's the the underground stuff that was, and that goes for metal too,
Yeah definitely. Like music, going back, music just, it really is amazing that music has so many different styles and genres, and there's literally something for everyone. And lyrics are something that we all can relate to. And I mean, even if there are the hearing impaired, who there you see at festivals all the time. Like there are sign language interpreters and people are
Right.
still enjoying it because they feel the vibrations. And you can also read the lyrics too. And I'm sure, like, not knowing what it's not like to hear, I'm like, I can only imagine that maybe they're, creating music in their own minds to it.
Right. So I have a quick story about, I was Uber driving in Baltimore, and I was listening to Glassjaw, which is one of my favorite bands, and they had just put out a new record. So that's why I was listening to it, and the lady in the back, she was deaf, but she's tapping me and she's like wanting me to read. She was writing something out on her phone. I'm driving, I can't stop and read, you know what I mean? So she hands it to me and I read it, and she goes, "You're listening to Glassjaw. I love Glassjaw." And I'm like, I was kind of curious, like, if you can't hear, how do you know? How did you even know? And she said, the vibrations, I felt the vibrations.
Wow.
Now that you were listening to my favorite bands. And she's like, I know the guitar player's wife, and she like buys something, like, I forgot what she buys from her, but she's like, yeah, I'm like, I know these people. Can't believe you're listening to Glassjaw. And I'm like, I can't believe you know Glassjaw. This is awesome, But
that's so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, the power of music. It's amazing. Like, it affects everyone. Like, it really does.
It's when you find someone that, has the same style, loves the same music that you do. It's hard to, like, there's no one that likes exactly the same music that I do. Don't get me wrong. But when I'm at work and someone says, they talk about like a Van Halen or, something like that, it's like I have a connection. I'm like, okay. Or we talk about the Beatles. Like, I could talk about the Beatles all day to somebody. And when someone knows as much as I do, and we try to start like topping each other, like, did you know that this song had Yoko on it? You know what I mean? Like, did you know Ringo sang this song, but he didn't write it? John and Paul wrote, little stuff like that. I love having conversations about music. And
yeah, definitely. And I see the Slayer flag behind you. And just gonna
wait. All my girlfriends here, that's she's got her dad. These are all actually all real from the 80s. He bought them from concerts overseas. He was in the army, so it's like,
oh wow,
Iron Free, White Snake European Tour 84, Kiss World Tour 84, Ozzy Osbourne Tour 83. So yeah, those are all real scarves purchased from the shows back in the 80s.
Wow,
really cool.
That is cool. There's not a lot of those out.
No. I actually looked, I was like, oh, I'm sure those are worth hundreds of dollars. And I looked up the Ozzy one once, and there was one going for like over $100. And I'm like, well, shit. But they're not, we're not trying to sell. Those are cool.
Yeah.
And that's what, about music. It's like, I mean, there's posters all over the place, but when you look back at that, or if it's a show, like a poster from a show I went to, you know what I mean? You look at it, like I got a Scour poster in my hall from the stream. So every day when I'm walking through that hall and I see it, I'll like, oh yeah, remember Scour Boys from the stream,
Yeah.
And yeah, it triggers, in your mind to thinking back, and that's why I like keeping all this stuff around,
Yeah.
I like, Slayer. I like, maybe I'll listen to Slayer today. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I wish they would do one more show. Just one more.
Yeah. I understand their side. Yeah. I think I don't know. I'm no expert on anything, but, I guess Tom's neck's hurt. He can't headbang. Maybe it's time to when you're at that age, you're like, hey, I got plenty of money. Let's just, and they did it the right way. They went out and made sure everyone could see him.
Yeah.
I'm probably 4 different final tour Slayers. The final tour I went at least 3 or 4 times.
Oh wow.
But, yeah, I mean, I went when Cannibal was opening on that leg, and then of course they did the Illegals leg with Primus. That was the final one.
Yeah, I was at that one.
Right, I went to a couple on that one. But yeah, what a band. And Actually, the first time I saw them was because I really wanted to see Biohazard. I brought up Biohazard earlier, but it was Machine Head, Biohazard, Slayer, and
Wow.
Slayer was on the Divine Intervention tour, and that's one of my favorites. I mean, I love Divine Intervention, but I was really wanting to go see Biohazard more than Slayer. I wasn't really into Slayer at the time. I knew of them and I listened to them, but I didn't realize the power until like I saw them live, and I was like, holy shit! It's almost like they possessed people. Like that pit, I stayed away from that pit. That was when I was like, I ain't getting anywhere near these people. It scared me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
I know the first time I ever saw Slayer, my mom took me to Ozfest 2004, and I was like 15 or 16, and I remember being at the very front, like against the barricade, and I felt like all this liquid hitting me, and I see Kerry King just shaking his head in disbelief, and all the security guards. I'm like, what is going on? I turn around. There at the time they allowed plastic beer bottles, so they had like brown plastic beer bottles, and there were probably, I don't know, there were thousands and thousands and thousands just flying back and forth all over the crowd. It looked like an angry swarm of birds.
right.
It was the most insane experience.
Right. You look at it like, it looks cool, but I don't want to get hit in the head with one of these things, you know?
I don't think anyone actually got hurt. People were pretty cool about it because they were all empty anyway, or they became empty.
Yeah.
But I was not up in the lawn section, or I was up front, but I kept feeling it. It was one of the coolest like visuals that I have ever seen from a crowd.
Yep. It's a shame that, you know, they're not doing live shows, but you know, they're such
Maybe
a legendary.
one day.
Yeah, you
Just
never
one more.
maybe in a couple of years they might get the itch, you know, they might say, you know, for the right price. No, it's that I think at that point that for them or any of these older guys that are well off with money, you know, they don't need to play. Paul McCartney doesn't need to play a show, you know. I'd say, you know, even guys in metal, they're like, well, like, does Megadeth need to do another tour? Probably not. You know, he could probably just make it, you know, but they're going to tour every year because they enjoy it. It's I don't know what it is, but it's like maybe it's ego. I don't know, but it's not money for a lot of these people. I know it because they got money. They got plenty of money.
Right. Yeah.
So, got to.
What's that?
There must be something else if it's not the money, you know. And for Slayer, I think, you know, I don't think it'd be a money thing if they got back together because they're fine. You know, they probably can live off selling Slayer t-shirts for the rest of their lives, you know. But maybe someday they'll be like, you know what, maybe we should go do a show, you know.
Yeah, it would make the fans happy because I see a lot of people talking about that too.
Well, yeah, the second they broke up or announced
it,
you know, oh, like, come on, you ain't really gonna break up. No one really, you know, come on, you're gonna get.
But, you know, at the same time, how many times have Kiss said that they were going on a farewell tour?
That's another band. I've seen Kiss probably 6 times on the final tour, you know, but that's why I tell myself, like, maybe it's for real this time. You never know.
Yeah. And like same with Motley Crue, they did that whole farewell tour, and now they're back together.
Yeah, but they've canceled it last year, and it's supposed to happen again this year in July, I think. And since Def Leppard's also there, I'm like, I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna pay the $150 ticket price, you know. But like you said, it's like they promised they weren't gonna play ever again. And I went that time too, you know, because I'm like, I gotta see Motley Crue last time. But yep, they got me. So I'm gonna pay again. They're cool. I met Nikki Sixx once
that's so cool.
It was I was actually eating with the guys from Prong lunch at Hellfest, and we were both kind of like, oh my God, is that really Nikki Sixx? You know, and it was. And I'm like, this is my chance. I gotta go say what's up, you know. He was real nice, gave me a picture with him, and
that's so cool. Yeah, he seems like he would be a cool guy from the interviews that I've watched of him and listening to him on the radio too.
Yeah, he was nice.
Yeah.
And I was, you know, Motley Crue. There was a time when it was Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, and Metallica were my favorite bands, you know. Loved them.
Yeah, Guns N' Roses are amazing. Like,
yeah,
amazing live.
You get the chance to see them, go to that concert, because you will get your mind blown.
Yeah, they played for a long time too.
Right, and it's like 2 hours of hits too. All those great songs, so many good songs.
Yeah, they turn Knocking on Heaven's Door into like a 10-minute song, but it's so awesome. Or they did at one of the concerts that I went to.
Oh yeah. They've been doing that for a while. I was another example of just get back together. I'm glad they did, you know.
Yeah.
Still a couple bands that I wish, like Skid Row, I wish they'd just get Sebastian back and just make a bunch of money and make us all happy. Please.
Right.
Sepultura, sorry. Get Max and Igor back in the band. Make them happy. I want to see Sepultura, the real Sepultura.
Oh, sorry. That would be amazing.
But yeah, I understand people got beef, whatever. But
yeah,
as a fan of music, you're all still alive. You do it while you can. That's what I, you know.
Yeah.
What do I know?
Well, those are all of my questions. So unless you would like to say anything else.
No, I think we've covered enough.
Yeah.
And
yeah, you know, thank you so much.
Yeah, right on. And
super excited to hear the Scour album whenever it comes out.
Yep, we will work hard, and hopefully in a couple years we'll do another interview about the release of it, you know.
Yes. Yeah, hopefully in person at a show.
Yeah. Yep. Hopefully it will be at a Scour show.
Yes, Scour tour in Fargo. That would be amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much, and I hope you have the rest of the. My God, I'm getting all tongue twisted. I don't know why, but I hope you have a great rest of the day, and thank you so much again.
Yeah. Thanks. Take it easy.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
Yeah.